Will there be more?
Most likely.
Okay, stop. Welcome to Tea is Good, Books Are Better, the podcast where we drink tea and talk about books. My name is Raven.
And I'm Jess.
Jess was just about to blow her nose and I started the podcast. She gave me a look like, bitch. Aw, sick. Marry, fuck, kill. John, Sam, and Greyworm. Go.
What? Oh no.
The amount of thinking happening right now. Did you just say, oh no?
Yeah. I like them all. Probably marry John.
Of course.
Duh.
Cause duh.
Fuck Greyworm.
Aw, Sam. Aw, Sam. Poor sweet Sam. John would hate you.
I know.
He'd be stuck married to you. He
Yeah.
would hate his life.
But he is honor bound.
Oh my god. He's
Just
honor
say
bound.
it.
You must fuck me and make children. Okay, I just wanted to point out a couple of things I noticed from rewatching the show.
Ooh.
So, in the second Game of Thrones episode, Cersei has a story about her dead child.
Yeah.
And you brought this up before on the podcast, but I was like, I don't know what you're talking about, because I didn't remember. But it hasn't come up in the book, only in the show, right?
Yeah, I haven't read anything about Cersei's past in the book.
Yeah. So yeah, it's this, I don't even know if it's canon in the book,
I don't remember.
but it's this thing about Cersei having, like, her one true-born son was, like, miscarried or something like that.
I think it was born, but died of sickness.
Oh, that's even worse.
Yeah.
Also in the show, Cersei doesn't like that Jaime pushed Bran out the window.
No, she's horrified. Like, I don't think she intended when she's like, she thought he was gonna, like, threaten the kid.
Right.
She didn't know he was gonna chuck the kid out the window.
Yeah. And I guess that kind of connects to, like, her losing her own child, and she's like, I can't do this to another mother,
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing.
It was a sweet little empathizing moment she had there.
With Catelyn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When she came
when she
to
goes
share
to
her
visit
story.
her. Yeah, in the show.
Yeah,
Just
in
to
the
clarify.
show.
In the show. Also, you said this. In the book, in the book, John names Needle. But in the show, Arya names Needle.
Yeah.
Interesting choice there. I guess that was the only way that they could, like, figure out to bring up the whole Needle thing without actually showing that scene between her and Sansa sewing.
Yeah, like, it had a little bit in the first episode of her trying to
Yeah.
keep up with the other girls,
But it doesn't, like,
but
go
she just
into
doesn't
it.
care.
Yeah. Also in the show, Catelyn finds Cersei's hair in the tower.
Yeah.
That was a bit too on the nose for me. I kind of like in the book how they figure it out
Yeah.
in other ways. Like, the hair didn't really seem to do anything. Because she was already, like, suspicious of the Lannisters, wasn't she?
I think she was. Like, they don't really show it in the show until she picks up the hair.
Maybe it is more important in the show than I thought then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the books.
It's
version
probably
better.
easier and faster to be like, oh, it's hair.
Yeah, in the show, because that's more visual.
Yeah.
And, you know, TV and cinema are very much about the visual. But in the book, they can actually, like, explain stuff. But that, I guess, wouldn't be as interesting in the show. But yeah, just interesting, the differences. In the show, we see Arya part with Nymeria, which we don't see in the book. She explains in the book that she threw rocks, but again, in the show, it has to be more visual.
In the chapter that's next, it's someone else. And I was like,
Oops.
what? That's
Yeah.
What?
Someone was there. Yeah, we'll get more into that in a minute. Also in the show, they totally explain the origin of Littlefinger's name, which I thought that they didn't. But they do.
In the show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's when he's at the tourney and Sansa's like, why do they call you Littlefinger? Littlefinger. Yeah, that's about it. I was like taking notes as I was watching like all the differences, like, oh, tippity tappity.
Tippity tappity.
Any thoughts?
They sure are different.
Wow, nice thought, Jess. Very inspiring.
More.
Oh yeah.
As we get on, you'll keep watching. Did you stop where we are, or did you keep going?
I went past a little bit. What are we drinking, Jess?
It's green tea with ginger. Notice the theme? I love me ginger.
Ginger.
I love me ginger.
Ooh. That's nice. It's got that ginger hit right in the throat.
Nice sting that's like, ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Clear up my sinuses.
Picante.
It's spicy.
That's what Kevin says every time something's like not even spicy, just hot, temperature-wise. He'll just be like, ooh, picante.
Yeah, I know. I catch that. It's so funny. I try not to laugh at all of his jokes, because I don't want to give him that ego boost.
He already has it. Okay, let's get into it. Chapter 22 is Arya. Arya is seated in the small hall, having just finished her first course of dinner, when her father walks in and takes a seat. He's been arriving at dinner later and later lately, and Arya can see in his face that he's been fighting with the small council again. Jory, Ned's steward, asks him about the tourney, and Ned confesses it's the last thing he wants. But Sansa seems excited about it. She fucking would.
Yeah.
So
these
basic.
noble knights.
Yeah. She asks Ned if she can attend. Ned isn't hot on the idea, but Septa Mordain says that Princess Myrcella will be there, and the rest of the ladies of the court, and since the tourney is in Ned's honor, it would be strange if his family wasn't there.
Can I point out something?
Yeah.
Is this proper grammar? Because I read it and I was like, what?
Oh.
So on page 216 on my book, Septa Mordain says, Princess Myrcella will be there, my lord, and her younger than Lady Sansa.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
Is that...
That would not be accurate today. But...
Is that, like, English?
I think it's like an old English grammar type of thing.
Because I was like, was this a boo-boo?
No, I don't think it's a boo-boo. I think it's like, yeah, kind of old-fashioned English. Plus the Septa is supposed to be, like, even older than, you know, Ned and everyone else. Yeah. So she's even more old-fashioned than old-fashioned type of thing.
Granny Septa.
Yeah. So, against his better judgment, Ned agrees to have a place for both Sansa and Arya at the tourney. Arya, however, doesn't want to go at all. Prince Joffrey will be there, and she hates Prince Joffrey. Totally fair, Arya.
Understand.
I'm completely on her side. Sansa says that Arya isn't wanted there anyway. Then Ned snaps at them both to stop fighting and act like sisters. Isn't that kind of acting like sisters if you're fighting? I mean, we don't really fight anymore, I guess. But when we were younger, we fought a lot, yeah.
Well, until, like, I moved out, we used to fight a lot, I think.
Yeah. Faux show. Ned then excuses himself, saying he isn't hungry. Arya finishes her dinner alone, no one talking to her. But that's just the way she likes it. Relatable. She misses her brothers, and she remembers how, in Winterfell, they had often eaten in the Great Hall with Ned's men. And she remembers him telling Robb one time to let his men know him. Don't ask them to die for a stranger. It's a solid piece of advice.
It is.
Not something I would think of when writing about leaders, but it totally makes sense.
Admirable.
Yeah.
Starks.
Yes. I feel like I'm so used to, like, I don't know.
Those holier than thou.
Yeah, I guess that kind of thing.
Me, scum.
Yeah.
The one look at you.
I've come to expect that, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Arya once loved to sit at her father's table and listen to the men talk, but now she can't bear the sound of their voices. Because none of them did anything when the Queen killed Lady and the Hound killed Micah, her butcher's boy.
Mm-hmm.
Upset now, Arya leaves the table, despite Septim Ordain screaming at her to stay and finish her food. Arya flees the hall, pursued by the Septa and someone called Fat Tom.
It's someone called Fat Tom.
He's just one of Ned's men, I guess. Arya makes it to her bedchamber, which is the only thing she likes about King's Landing because it has a massive door with a heavy crossbar, and no one can get in when she drops it in place. So, she drops it in place. She goes to her trunk and digs for a needle while Fat Tom and Septim Ordain pound on the other side of the door. What, is she gonna stab them in the eye?
I guess just holding it gives her comfort. Maybe reminds her of John a little.
Yeah, I'm sure that's why. Have you listened to For the Throne? The album that came out just before the 8th season of Game of Thrones did, and it's got a bunch of different artists who, like, made Game of Thrones music.
I mean, I listened to a playlist that Spotify gave me. Is that the one with The Weeknd?
Yes. Power is power. That one.
I know. What the fuck is it called?
For the Throne. Music inspired by the HBO series Game of Thrones.
I think I did. I'm pretty sure I did.
I listen to this all the time. But one of them, this is the one.
Okay.
This song is 100% about Arya. It's called When I Lie.
Insert copyrighted music here. If you want to listen to it, it's called When I Lie Remix by Lil Peep and Ty Dolla $ign.
That's the fun part about this album, just listening to them and trying to figure out who it's about.
Oh!
It's so great.
Yeah, I mean, it was recommended to me. I didn't quite realize that it was all like Game of Thrones inspired. I thought it was just like someone who liked Game of Thrones putting these songs together into a playlist.
I see. Yeah, that is what it seems like. But no, this was like legit made. You've listened to Power is Power, I'm assuming, the Weeknd one.
Yep.
So there's the part with the Weeknd, the part with SZA, and then the part with Travis Scott.
Mm-hmm.
Have you listened closely to the part with Travis Scott?
Nope.
It is so... when I first heard it, I was like, this is so fucking dumb. He's not even singing about the show. I was like, this is fucking stupid. But then Mike was like, no, it's like, but he explained it to me, and I was like, holy fuck! And then I started listening to the lyrics completely differently. I was like, this is genius!
I like this song, even though it kind of sounds like Black Panther.
It does. Okay, Travis Scott's part is so genius.
Insert copyrighted music here.
Is he Arya?
No, he's not.
Who is he?
I've got to pull up these lyrics, because I can't. Fuck. You don't have internet. Because they're so fucking genius. Once I explain these to you, you're going to be shook.
Oh!
Power is power. Breathe, feel the air that I breathe. Air that I breathe. Who's hotter? Been a monster with a crown. So swamped by high water, keep your head up, you might drown. In this world it's way colder, by the day we count it down. Been around, just waitin' up, she gon' come around. I took a drag, busted out the gates, my little baby sleigh. I wore the flag, put that on my face, ain't nobody safe. Lift the mask, they gon' have to see what they can't erase. I took a life, so I took it back. Danger's on my mind, ain't no knife, dagger, bullet that can do it. For you, yeah, you know, I go right up straight through it. It's once you figure it out, then you'll be like, whoa. Been a monster with a crown.
Is it Cersei? No. What? Daddy?
It's the Night
Part
King.
2? Oh!
Breathe, feel the air that I breathe. Like cold air, like winter. Been a monster with a crown. But my favorite part, been around, just been waiting up. So, you know, like forming his army kind of thing, like waiting. She gon' come around. So he's waiting on the other side for a she. I took a drag.
Oh.
She is Dany, and he took her dragon.
Oh.
Busted out the gates, my little baby sleigh. Oh my god, just that part's just like,
Oh man.
I took it, because it sounds like I took a drag.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing too.
And he says, this is actually wrong. In the song, he says, he says, like, swallow baby slay. So you think he's talking about, like, sexy stuff.
Yeah.
But he's talking about the dragon eating people and killing people. It's so fucking dope.
That is cool.
But yeah, the first time I heard the Travis Scott part, and he's like, I took a drag, busted out the gate, swallow baby slay. I was like, what the fuck is this? This isn't about Game of Thrones. I was like, why are you on this? But then, yeah, I was shook. Anyway, that was a tangent. I don't know how I'm gonna cut that together. I might just cut the whole thing out. We'll see. Okay.
I think it's cool.
It is really cool. If you haven't yet, and you're a Game of Thrones fan, listen to For the Throne, the album, with a bunch of different artists together. And yeah, I said so already, but the fun part is trying to figure out what character each person is singing about. Super fun. Yeah, Arya goes to her trunk and digs for Needle, while Fat Tom and Septim Ordain pound on the other side of the door. Septim Ordain threatens to tell the Hand about this, but Arya just shouts back that she doesn't care. Eventually they leave, and Arya looks out the window, dreaming of escape, until her father knocks on the door. She lets him in, and he looks more sad than angry. He sees the sword, and he, like, takes it and takes a look at it, asking where she got it from, but Arya says nothing, refusing to betray Jon. So sweet.
Well.
Her father mentions that they're trying to make her a lady, but Arya says she doesn't want to be a lady. Preach! Her father then tells Arya that she has a wildness in her that his father used to call the wolf blood. Lyanna, Ned's sister, had a touch of it, and Brandon, Ned's brother, had more than a touch, and it brought them both to an early grave. That's something to tell your daughter. Like, right. Oh, you've got this wolf blood. My siblings had it, and they're both dead. Arya is shocked to hear this because her father doesn't often speak about his siblings. Then her father asks what she plans on using the sword for, and whether she knows the first thing about sword fighting. So Arya bonds with Jon's first lesson to her, stick them with the pointy end, which makes her father chuckle. Arya tries to explain that she was trying to learn with Micah, but the thought of her friend brings her to tears, and her father holds her as she cries. That's so sad.
She blames herself.
She blames Joffrey. But she does actually get into it being her fault. We'll get there.
Okay.
Arya thinks Micah's death is her fault. Because she asked him to practice with her. But her father says she isn't to blame, only the Hound and the Queen. What about Joffrey? I guess he excuses Joffrey because he's a child.
Mm-hmm.
Arya says that she hates them all, the Hound, the Queen, the King, and Prince Joffrey, and Sansa for lying. Ned says that everyone lies, and reveals that he knows Nymeria didn't run off on her own. Arya admits that she and Jory, Ned's steward, had to throw rocks at the direwolf to make her leave, because they knew the Queen would kill her. Mm-hmm. So Jory helped Arya get rid of Nymeria.
When he found her, like, she spent the entire, how long was it, 3 days?
Trying to get Nymeria to leave.
She was hiding with Nymeria, and then I think it was Jory who probably assured her that Nymeria needed to go.
Right.
If you wanted to save her.
Aw, Jory.
Mm-hmm.
I love Jory.
Yeah.
So did Jory then tell Ned? Is that how Ned knows?
No, I think they mentioned in that chapter that Jory didn't say anything, but Ned just suspected on his own that they had something to do with, because the dogs were so attached, the wolves were so attached to the kids that they had something to do with getting rid of.
Yeah, makes sense.
Nymeria.
Ned then tries to explain to Arya that there are hard times coming. Winter is coming, the stark words. And he says, quote, "When the snows fall and the white winds blow, the lone wolf dies, but the pack survives." End quote. So when winter comes, the Starks must protect one another. Hate only those who mean them harm, not people like Sansa or Septim Ordain. Some more solid advice from Father Ned.
Mm-hmm.
He's very wise. He's a very, very wise man. Arya says she doesn't really hate Sansa, and she really absorbs her father's words and loves him very much in that instant. Then her father gives Needle back to her and tells her to promise him she won't stab Sansa. Arya promises she won't. The following day, Arya apologizes to Septim Ordain. 3 days after that, her father's steward brings her to the small hall where the tables and benches have been shoved against the walls. A bald man with a great beak of a nose steps forward and introduces himself as her dancing master, and tosses her a heavy wooden sword. He has an accent, and Arya believes he is from one of the free cities. His name is Syrio Forel. He teaches her how to grip the sword and how to stand. She thinks it's too heavy, but he says the weight of it will make her strong. He also says her skinniness is a bonus, because it makes her a smaller target. And her left-handedness is also a bonus. Since most people are right-handed, having to fight someone who has everything reversed will make it difficult for them to hurt her. They train for 4 hours until her body is sore and aching. And the chapter ends with, the next day their real work began. Yeah, so Ned got her a fighting teacher.
Mm-hmm.
Sword fighting.
That was
so
really
sweet.
nice of him.
Ned is so supportive. He just...
It's like, I don't want to fight her no more. At least make a daughter happy while they're there.
I still relate most to Arya out of everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, just everything she thinks, I'm like, yes! Yes! I feel like Arya is like kind of like me when I was younger. I feel connected to her. Who do you feel most connected to so far?
Oh. Sansa.
Sansa! Basic bitch.
She's a dumb fuck, and that's what me. That was me as a kid.
Aw, Jess.
I think I was very naive and had my own visions of the world being something that it wasn't.
Well, so did I. I think everyone grows up with kind of rose-colored glasses, you know?
I guess.
Unless you're literally grow up in like an abusive home and, you know.
But then you grew up with like that negative view of the whole world that where everything is bad.
Or you think that's normal. And
Yeah,
you think the whole world's like that, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just you have to deal with it because that's what the world is like.
Yep.
All right, chapter 23. Daenerys. Daenerys and the Dothraki reach the Dothraki Sea, which is actually an immense and empty plain of grass. That's the Dothraki version of a sea.
Yeah.
Ser Jorah Mormont talks Dany's ear off about the grass, how it changes colors, and all the different types that are out there in the world.
actually, did you write a little tangent with the ghost grass?
No, I didn't. I was like, this is useless. Cut.
I thought it was cool.
It's cool, but I was like, I need to summarize this chapter, and I don't know if this is important.
Absolutely right.
But yeah, he did. Did you want to say something
But
about
the
the ghost
grass sounded cool as fuck.
Okay, go on. Tell me about the ghost grass.
Supposed to be like pale white grass that grows taller than a man on a horse, and at nighttime it glows with the
pretty
spirits
ghostly.
of the dead.
Yeah, that's what the Dothraki believe anyway, right?
But it's like a glowing grass.
Yeah.
It
does sound interesting.
cool.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah.
The rest of their party is catching up behind them, and Dany spots Viserys struggling with the short stirrups, and the flat saddle that the Dothraki use. He's clearly miserable, and Dany thinks that he should not have come.
I think so too. It sounds so ridiculous, this fucking kid.
Yeah,
Follows barbarians around trying to be better than them.
Oh yeah, the way he's described, he's like trying to be their king, but he looks like a fucking little shit.
And he's like wearing his expensive silks, and they're getting soiled because
we'll get to that. Yeah.
Fuck.
Magister Illyrio wanted Viserys to wait in Pentos while the rest of the marriage ceremonies were completed, but Viserys refused, saying he would stay with Drogo until the debt had been paid, until he had the crown he had been promised. Dany realizes she doesn't want to listen to any of Viserys' complaints right now. Hell yeah, Dany.
She is growing a spine.
Yeah. The day is too perfect. So she tells Ser Jorah to tell the rest of her party to stay, to tell them she commands it. Jorah smiles. He isn't handsome at all, but his smiles give Dany comfort. He tells Dany she is learning to talk like a queen, but Dany says, not a queen, a Khaleesi, which is a Dothraki queen. But I love that she's, like, embracing it.
Yeah. She's becoming a barbarian with the rest of them.
Yeah. But it's very much like a subversion of expectations, I think. This whole thing about her trying to embrace the culture and embrace her new husband and stuff, even though she was forced into this marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like most writers, you know, would write about how it's just shitty the whole time, and she hates it, and she's trying to escape the entire time.
Yeah. I guess going from, like, a really submissive person, and then, like, finding, like, you know what, this isn't that bad. I might as well embrace it, make the most of it.
So, yeah, like, it seems like being with Viserys was worse.
Yeah,
so,
like, Drogo at least has
he respects her. Yeah. Makes sense for her character, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So Dany goes for a ride on her own. All her life, Viserys told her she was a princess, but she never felt like one until she, quote, rode her silver, which is her horse, and we'll get more into that. It didn't come easy at first, though. On the third day of riding after the wedding, Dany had sores on her bottom, and her thighs were chafed raw. Her hands blistered from the reins, and her muscles all in pain.
It's not something I've ever considered.
Well, we briefly talked about this in a past episode,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, like...
It just sounds like, holy crap, can you imagine how cramped your legs would be?
Ugh. I once rode a horse for, like, less than an hour, and
Yeah.
I was sore and aching after.
Can you imagine, like, being on a horse and your legs are fucking numb, but you have to still stay on it?
God, I imagine, like, you get all the needles, like, the feel of that needles in your leg, and, like, pinching nerves as you try to, like, shift your position to make yourself more comfortable. Ugh, it sounds awful. And the nights were no better. Khal Drogo ignored her all day when they rode. Dany ate alone, or with Ser Jorah and her brother, and afterwards she would cry herself to sleep. Yet every night, Drogo would come to her tent and take her from behind, the Dothraki fashion.
I'm just like, he's hitting her on her open sores, I guess, as he's taking her from behind.
Fuck!
Like, ouch. No wonder.
Yeah.
She's in so much pain.
Dany was grateful it was from behind so that Drogo couldn't see her tears.
I guess that's why she's crying.
Yeah, and
Ouchie.
so she could use her pillow to muffle her cries of pain. So yeah, this is a lot more familiar from the show.
Yeah.
Though the only inclination we get that she's sore from riding in the show is that there's one time in one scene where she gets helped down from her horse by her handmaids and then walks off kind of stiffly. But it's only that one time, that one scene. It like never comes up again.
Mm-hmm.
But here in the book, we get a really clear description of the aches, and it's clear that the rape, let's call it what it is coupled with the sores and makes it really fucking painful, and it's so fucked up, and I hate it.
Yeah.
Dany endures this for day after day until she eventually thinks she can't take it anymore and decides one night to kill herself.
Yeesh.
Yeah, like, holy fuck. However, that night she dreams of the dragon again. And Viserys isn't in the dream this time, just the dragon. The dragon breathes fire on her, but Dany opens her arms and embraces it, feeling her flesh melt and her blood boil. Yet there's no pain. Instead, she feels strong and new and fierce. Interesting. What could this mean? The day after, she doesn't seem to hurt quite as much. Interesting. Dany looks at her dragon eggs and notices that the black and scarlet one is colored like the dragon in her dream, and it's strangely warm to the touch. So, spoiler alert. I guess this is why she feels so much more attached to Drogon than the others.
Ah! That didn't even occur to me.
Yeah.
But I guess, because Drogon is coming, because the dragon in her dreams, right, is described as black and red.
Mm-hmm. And I always wondered why. Like, why Drogon and not the others? Just because he's, like, cooler looking or
Fiercest
something?
one.
He's the most wild.
As the biggest and the most fiercest one, like the dominant dragon of the three.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what I thought. But yeah, but if she's having an attachment before it hatches.
Yeah, she had
That's
dreams
pretty
about
special.
him. That is really special, and it makes a lot more sense.
Mm-hmm.
From that day on, each day is easier than the last. Her body grows stronger, and she becomes used to the horseback riding. She has someone teach her the Dothraki way to ride, but her horse is her real teacher. The filly seems to know her moods. So in the book, it's constantly calling her horse the filly, and I've just been using horse because I didn't want to explain what a filly is. But I was like, I'll just fucking explain what a filly is. Filly is a term for a female horse under 4 years old, and any female horse older than 4 is called a mare. Fun facts.
Nice.
The Dothraki are a hard and unsentimental people, and they don't name their animals, so Dany only thinks of her filly as the Silver, and she loves her silver. As the riding becomes less of an ordeal, Dany starts to appreciate the beauty of the land around her. She's beginning to enjoy the ride, and even sometimes enjoy it when Drogo comes into her tent at night. Like, okay, Dany. So, she rides through the grasses. She wants to feel the ground beneath her feet at one point, so she slides off her horse, and then Viserys shows up on his horse, and he is furious. He screams at her, "You dare give commands to me?" Because she had commanded the whole party to stop, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then he jumps off his horse, stumbling as he lands. Lol. Grabs her and tells her to look at herself. Dany doesn't need to look, though. She knows that she's barefoot, wearing Dothraki leathers, and looks like she belongs with the Horde. Viserys, on the other hand, is in soiled and stained city silks and ringmail. So he's still trying to hang on to his, like,
Elite.
I'm the queen. Or queen. I'm the
Dragon King.
I'm the king. I am the dragon. I'm from Westeros. Viserys keeps screaming, telling Dany she doesn't command the dragon. And he grabs her breast again and squeezes. What the fuck is wrong with this guy?
Freak.
Why is he always going for the tit?
Like, he knows that's like a weak spot of hers.
That's fucked. Dany then shoves him away. Yes, queen. Which baffles Viserys, because Dany has never defied him before.
I wrote here, she's no longer afraid. Yeehaw!
Yeehaw! Hell yeah! So Viserys is like about to come at her, and Dany like thinks, oh fuck. Like shit's about to go down. But then there's a crack of a whip, and a coil takes Viserys by the throat and yanks him to the ground. Jogo, one of the Dothraki riders, is the one with the whip. The rest of Dany's party has arrived, and I guess Jogo saw Viserys harassing Dany and was like, I ain't about that. So, whoosh! With Dany's handmaid, Eerie, and Jorah translating, Jogo asks if Dany wants Viserys dead. She says no. Then Jogo suggests taking an ear to teach him respect, cutting his ear off. But Dany doesn't want him harmed at all. Eventually, Jogo releases Viserys, who is a pathetic whimpering mess on the ground.
Wasn't he sobbing?
I think it said that.
He's crying.
Oh
I wanted
God.
to see this shit in the show. Reduce him.
Yeah. In the show, he's just like,
how dare you?
What? Yeah. Dany looks at Viserys and realizes he is pitiful, and she wonders how she never noticed it before. Yeah, it's because she's got perspective now. That's why. If that's all she's ever stuck with her whole life, and he just tells her that he's the king, everyone loves him and worships him, that's what she's gonna believe. Yeah. So, Dany no longer fears Viserys, as you said. Then Dany commands that Ser Jorah take Viserys' horse, and says he shall walk behind their party at the back of the Khalasar. So, is the Khalasar the whole Horde? Is that just the main party?
I'm pretty sure the Khalasar is the Horde.
The whole Horde, okay. Among the Dothraki, a man who doesn't ride is no man at all, the lowest of the low, with no honor or pride. And Dany says, right in front of her brother, let everyone see him as he is. Oh, shit!
Shots fired.
Hell yeah. Get some ice for that burn. Viserys is screaming again, wanting Jorah to punish Dany and kill the Dothraki riders around them. But Jorah takes Viserys' horse and walks off with Dany. As they walk together, having left Viserys behind, Dany speaks aloud her shock at defying him for the first time. She says, I woke the dragon, didn't I? Jorah just snorts and says that. Yeah, he's like, Rhaegar was the last dragon, Dany. So I just wanted to confirm, we don't know what it means to be the dragon at this point, do we?
No. Apparently, Viserys is making it like his anger or something, like his wrath.
Yeah.
But that's it that we know of.
He was 8, right, when they left?
Yeah, he was 8. Maybe he saw his father's anger and that was to him what the dragon is.
But Rhaegar was the dragon. Everyone knows that Rhaegar was the dragon.
Maybe because Rhaegar commanded more respect with the people. From what I understood, he was kind of loved.
Rhaegar?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does seem that way. But then he ends
The
up
whole thing
raping
with
Lyanna and starts
The
a whole
mess
war.
with Lyanna.
Yeah.
And now he's the bad guy.
He's a bad guy now. Yeah. But yeah, so Viserys has this idea of what it means to be the dragon, but we're getting the feeling that that may not be correct.
Mm-hmm.
Jorah says that Viserys is not the dragon. He's less than the shadow of a snake. Damn. Yeah. Dany is startled by the sweet diss and brings up that Jorah swore Viserys his sword. Jorah acknowledges that he did, but says, if Viserys is the shadow of a snake, what does that make his servants? So it seems like Jorah might have promised his sword before he knew that Viserys was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Dany tries to argue, saying that Viserys is still the true king, but Jorah interrupts by asking Dany if she truly wants to see Viserys on the throne. And if she's being honest, she does not think he'd be a good king. But she brings up what Illyrio said about the common people in Westeros awaiting his return. But Jorah argues that the common people don't give a flying fucking shit who sits on the Iron Throne, as long as they are left in peace. Dany absorbs all this, thinking that it goes against everything Viserys has ever told her. But Jorah's words ring of truth. And Dany has perspective now, so she's starting to recognize what truth is. Dany asks Jorah what he prays for, and he says home, and she says she does too. And Dany, for the first time, thinks of King's Landing, the Great Red Keep, and Dragonstone. Quote, in her mind's eye, all the doors were red. Whoa.
Of Red Keep?
No, remember, before she thought about the house with the red door was her home. And it was the place in Braavos with the Sir.
Yeah.
Who, like, fled from Westeros with her and Viserys.
Oh.
And that's always what she thought of as home. But now, 0 to 100. King's Landing, the Great Red Keep, and Dragonstone. And she imagines all their doors are red. So she's thinking of that place as home now.
Yeah.
She's kind of transferred her, like, feelings of what home is. Damn! Is she already thinking of the Iron Throne?
She is.
Damn, Dany!
Damn, already.
Yeah. Dany says that her brother will never take back the Seven Kingdoms. She had always known it, and she had never let herself say it aloud before. She says he couldn't lead an army if her husband gave him one. He has no coin. The only knight who follows him sees him as a snake, and the Dothraki mock his weakness. Jorah calls her a wise child, but Dany says she is no child. Girl, you're still 13. And she rides off to join the Khalasar, where she gives her filly to the slaves and enters her tent. She looks at her dragon's eggs, telling herself they are only stone, but she touches them and they're warm. But she tells herself it's from being out in the sun all day. But is it though?
Is it?
Later, while her handmaids bathe her, Dany asks if they've ever seen dragons. 2 of them, Irri and Jiki, say the dragons are gone everywhere. Dany had always heard that the East was different and still had magic, so why not dragons? Doria, the 3rd handmaid, says that she once heard dragons came from the moon. She says that there were once 2 moons in the sky, but one wandered too close to the sun and cracked from the heat. Dragons poured forth, and they drank the fire of the sun, which is why they breathe flame. One day the other moon will kiss the sun too, and then it will crack and the dragons will return. The other handmaids laugh at her, and say the moon isn't an egg, it's a god, the wife of the sun. After her bath, Dany sends out her handmaids, except for Doria, and she and Doria chat over supper. That night when Drogo comes, Dany leads him outside, because the Dothraki believe that all things of importance in a man's life must happen under the open sky. They find a bed of soft grass, and when Drogo tries to turn her over, she tells him she wants to look upon his face tonight. So right there in front of the whole Khalasar, she rides him like a bronco. Doing all the things Doria had told her to do over their supper chat. With all the Dothraki watching. And she's 13!
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently there is no such thing as privacy among the Dothraki.
Nope.
By the time they're on the far side of the Dothraki Sea, Dany's handmaids notice her swollen stomach and tells her she is with child. But she already knows. And it's her 14th name day. So she's pregnant, she just turned 14. My god. But yeah, Dany's pregnant.
Now, like Bran.
Bran.
Chapter something, I don't know.
24.
Okay. Bran is watching Rickon playing with the 3 wolves from his window up in his room. The sound of Rickon's laughter drives Bran to bitter tears. He wants to be down there running with Rickon and laughing, but he's stuck in bed with old Nan for company.
Aww.
He forces himself to stop crying because his 8th name day had passed, and men don't cry.
I love that he's always saying, I'm almost a man grown. I'm almost a man grown.
Yeah.
It's like, you're 8 years old! You're not even close!
So cute.
Oh my god. But yeah, I guess in medieval times, no one lived that long, so...
True.
8 years old is almost a man, apparently.
Almost a man grown. He angrily says to himself that the crow had lied to him. He cannot fly.
Aww.
Old Nan agrees that all crows are liars.
They're all full of crap.
She offers to tell him a story of a crow, but he doesn't want to hear her stupid tales. So, old Nan is really old.
She's fucking ancient.
Yeah, she's been a wet nurse to his grandfather's brother and had outlived all of her own children and grandchildren, except for her last great-grandchild, Hodor.
Old Nan and Hodor are related!
Yeah.
I can't believe she outlived all her children and grandchildren.
And the people she nursed for the Starks.
Holy
his
fuck.
grandfather's brother. She probably wet nursed Ned.
Have we explained what a wet nurse is?
It's a woman who has children who can breastfeed another person's babies, too, when the mama can't always do it.
Oh, interesting.
Because the baby needs to be fed, like, every 3 hours, right?
I guess.
Sickeningly. And now we have the technology to pump our breasts and put that milk in the fridge and save it for later.
And, like, formula and...
Yeah,
if
but,
the
like,
breastfeeding
back
doesn't work
then,
out. Yeah,
a
okay.
wet nurse.
Interesting.
Because she's wet.
She got them wet nips.
But yeah, that's crazy. Like, that's a fucking old ass lady.
Yeah, holy fuck.
Bruh. Old Nan offers to tell him a story about a little boy who hates stories.
Oh, wait. Sorry. So, Nan had come to the castle as a wet nurse for a Brandon Stark. Brandon Stark.
We're not quite sure who.
And we know Bran's name is Brandon, obviously. Yep. And then Ned's brother's name was Brandon. So, there's a lot of fucking Brandons.
Ned's father's brother, his name was Bran.
Yeah. It reminds me of an interview with George R.R. Martin, in which he talked about naming characters and how it's discouraged in novels to have multiple characters with names that start with the same letter.
Oh.
Did you know that?
No.
I don't really know the exact reasoning, but I think it has to do with, it can get confusing if there's like a Harry and a Henry kind of thing.
Yeah, okay.
So then it's like, you're reading, and if you're reading quick, you might think Harry is Henry and mix them up kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's why it's discouraged to have multiple characters with names that start with the same letter. But George was like, I think I'm going to have more than 26 characters. And there's only 26 letters in the alphabet.
Freaking whole history shit.
Yeah, so he's like,
And it makes sense to be names to be going down in families.
Yeah, so basically he threw all the rules out the window. And he decided to not only name characters with names that start with the same letter, but he named characters the same damn name.
Yeah.
I think we actually talked about this briefly in Cry to Heaven as well. There are a couple characters with the same name. Alessandro. There was like the eunuch,
a famous singer,
and a famous
eunuch
one.
singer.
A famous
There's multiple.
They're both
named
eunuchs.
Alessandro.
The Alessandro we knew and loved, plus another famous guy.
This rando singer.
Yeah. But yeah, that's it. I just want to talk about that interview a little bit.
Thanks.
How he was just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna do what the fuck I want.
Good.
Yeah.
It seems more real to me.
It does get confusing sometimes with all the Brandons. I'm like, wait, which Brandon?
Brandon is about Brandon.
But you just kind of have to pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Where am I? So old Nan offers to tell him a story about a little boy who hated stories, and Bran is feeling ready to scream at her. Bran feels that the crow had tricked him into waking up, promising him the ability to fly, but instead he woke up to a broken body and his family gone.
Can you imagine waking up from a coma to find your whole family has left?
Yeah, like everything, the world is different.
Everything's different. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm. He's angry that his father and his sisters left to King Landing without him. And even though Maester Luwin had sent birds with news of his awakening, there'd be no response. He feels forgotten.
Oh my god, how has no one responded?
No one's responded.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Only Robb and Rickon are left, but Robb is no longer the brother he knew. He is now Robb the Lord. And that's also, I guess, would be terrible. Like the family members that you do have, they're different.
It's just, not the same relationship, and you wake up and you didn't have time to adjust to that, and now it's just, like, thrown at you. I get it.
Robb spends all of his time in meetings and spends days traveling to other holdfasts. And whenever Robb leaves for days at a time, Rickon will go crying to Bran, like, asking when he'll be back. So I'm guessing Rickon is also suffering a lot from the abandonment of his parents.
Yeah, of course. He's a fucking baby.
Mm-hmm. Old Nan offers to tell him a story about Brandon the Builder, who built Winterfell and the Wall.
Another Brandon.
Yeah, the very first Brandon.
The first Brandon.
Those were always his favorite, but they are not. His father had once told him that she is so old that she gets his great uncle and his uncle and all the other Brandons all mixed up, and now they're one person.
Oh, so she mixes them up too.
Yeah.
They've all melted into one. That's funny.
My favorites are the scary ones, he says. What do you know of fear? She says. So I wrote down, like, I summarized what she said, her tale, because I thought it was pretty spooky, and I like the lore of the others. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to read it, what I summarized. Mm-hmm. She goes, fears for the winter, when the snow falls 100 feet deep and the ice winds come howling from the north, when the sun hides its face for years, and children are born and live and die all in darkness. And the White Walkers move through the woods. Thousands and thousands of years ago, a winter fell that lasted a generation, but even kings froze to death in their castles, alongside their peasants.
My god.
Women smothered their children while their tears froze to their cheeks. Before the days of the Andals, but of the first men, the others first came. They swept holdfasts in cities and kingdoms, felled heroes and armies, while riding their pale dead horses and leading hosts of the slain. Nothing could stop them. She tells of the others hunting the last hero with a pack of pale white spiders as big as hounds, when the door opens with a bang, making Bran jump.
The way you said that made it sound like part of the story.
No.
When the door opens with a bang, making Bran jump. It's like, oh, we're back in reality. While she's telling the story, she first refers to the others as the White Walkers, mm-hmm. which makes Bran go, you mean the others?
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting.
I guess commonly they're known as the others.
So yeah, maybe White Walkers is like a more old-fashioned term for them?
Yeah. So I noticed, like, they have a curse of, the others have you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's definitely, maybe I was gonna say maybe the others is more slang, but it wouldn't be slang if it's that common.
It's more common.
Yeah.
Tongue.
So, yeah, I guess White Walker sounds like it must be more old-fashioned. I also wanted to ask you, who do you think the last hero is from Nan's story?
Man, I didn't even think about that. I think it's Bran in the Building. Maybe one of the first Starks. Because the one who built the wall because they built the wall to keep the White Walkers out of the realm.
Yeah.
And that was Brandon, the builder. So I suspect it may be him.
I had a different idea.
Ooh, how fun.
Okay, I'm going to read a little bit more about the last hero, what she says about him. Mm-hmm. So as cold and death filled the earth, the last hero determined to seek out the children, in the hopes that their ancient magics could win back what the armies of men had lost. He set out into the dead lands with a sword, a horse, a dog, and a dozen companions. For years he searched until he despaired of ever finding the children of the forest in their secret cities. One by one his friends died, and his horse, and finally even his dog, and his sword froze so hard the blade snapped when he tried to use it, and the others smelled the hot blood in him and came silent on his trail, stalking him with packs of pale white spiders big as hounds. And that's where it gets cut off by the door banging open.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is right, I could very well be wrong, but the fact that this last hero is searching for the children of the forest. Maybe the last hero is the Night King.
I thought the Night King was the first other made by the children of the forest to get back at the first men.
Right. Yep, you're right. You're right. Dang it. I was like, I'm so smart.
Hey, we don't know if that's the story in the books.
I wouldn't be surprised if like Nan has her story mixed up and like doesn't, what she's saying isn't exactly true, but at this point we just have to trust it. So
Pretty excited to hear more about the White Walkers when Bran learns.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. Bran learns.
Okay, go on.
Yes. So it's Maester Luwin and Hodor. Bran
At the door.
At the door, yeah. Bran is needed in the Great Hall. They have visitors. Bran is upset because he wanted to hear the rest of the story and kind of pouts.
I do too! I want to hear about the white spiders chasing the last hero.
Come on. Hodor, who is almost 7 feet tall,
Damn.
carries Bran to the Great Hall. That's a big boy. The hall is already filled, and Robb is sitting in the Lord's chair, looking stern. Standing in front of him is Tyrion Lannister and some of the men of the Night's Watch. Robb is saying that the Night's Watch are welcome to stay for a hot meal and have a warm bed for the night. And then Tyrion pipes up, but not for me. Rude. Your bastard brother has more manners.
Damn, Tyrion.
Bran excitedly goes like, Jon!
Aww.
And Tyrion notices him saying, oh, you Starks are hard to kill. You better remember that, Lannister, says Robb. And like, I'm like, damn, Robb is being so rude.
So rude.
Like, the parents left to prove this shit. They don't prove shit.
Yeah.
Do not be rude to a Lannister's face.
He is 14 years old.
I'm just thinking also that he's so blessed that it's Tyrion in front of him and not like one of the other Lannisters. He probably would have taken like serious offense.
Yeah.
Tyrion is so much more forgiving. Like, he's a freaking saint.
But I also don't know if Robb would have said those things in front of Cersei or Jaime. Because Tyrion is, quote, the imp. So he has this reputation of being less than respectable kind of thing.
You're absolutely right. You said you have business with Bran. Well, here he is, says Robb. Tyrion begins by asking Bran how he fell, but Bran has no memory and gets a little bit stressed out by this question.
Yeah.
So then he says that he has a gift, a special design of a saddle so that even a cripple can ride a horse. Maester Luwin takes the paper and is impressed, saying that he should have thought of this. Robb is confused. He asks if it's a trap, and why would he give such a thing to Bran? And then Tyrion says, Jon asked me to. That's so sweet. That's Jon's gift.
Yeah, but doesn't he also say, like, I have a soft spot for cripples and bastards and broken things?
He does. Rickon then bursts in with the 3 wolves, who attack Tyrion.
What's with that?
Yeah,
They
like,
just automatically lunge at him?
maybe somewhere it was triggered by the smell.
A Lannister smell?
Yeah, but wouldn't Tyrion smell like Night's Watch?
Not like the Knights. Maybe they smell his
Maybe
blood.
everyone has their own personal smell, no matter where they've been.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Bran is the first to call off his wolf. Then Robb follows, shaken. Robb is ashamed for how he had welcomed Tyrion and apologizes and offers to them stay as well, to which Tyrion declines.
Yeah, he's like, I know I'm not wanted, so...
Tyrion leaves, and then the men of the Night's Watch are shown to their rooms. Hodor brings Bran back to his room, and he falls asleep. Now, this dream. He dreams he is climbing a tower, up and up. He can't fly, so he must keep climbing. Above him, he sees 2 hideous gargoyles watching. He knows that they were once lions, but now they're twisted and grotesque.
Lions, huh?
Once lions. Oh.
Significant.
They are whispering to each other, and he knows that he must not listen.
Oh.
At once, they begin to descend after him, and while he weeps, and he starts yelling like, "I didn't hear, I didn't hear, I didn't."
Oh my god.
And he wakes up.
That's fucking awful.
Like, he definitely knows. Like, he's subconsciously knows what happened.
Yeah, it's like his way of remembering, kind of.
Seeing the lions.
But he still doesn't know what it means when he wakes up.
Yeah.
He's just like, the fuck
It's
was
a
that?
suppressed memory, and it's just a terrible
yeah.
nightmare.
Yeah.
Ooh. Hodor comes in to grab him for the dinners, bathes him, and takes him to dinner. Robb is talking to Yoren and the other brothers, and he asks about Jon and then about Benjen, which makes them all go quiet. Yoren explains that Benjen is missing and most likely dead, which makes Robb stand up and deny, like, no, he's not dead.
Oh, Jesus.
He's not dead.
Oh, Robb.
That was a bit childish. I was like, oh shit.
Seems like
but then again,
done that a couple times.
14. Damn, this kid. Yoren is like, whatever you say, and they finish their dinner in silence. After that, Robb carries Bran to his room and tucks him in bed, blowing out the candles. He sits with Bran in the dark and silence for a while before bringing up the horse and promising that they will find him a good horse for his saddle. Bran asks if their parents are ever going to come back, and Robb promises yes. When their mother comes back, they will both ride out to greet her and to surprise her. They will even ride to the wall and visit Jon together, just them on an adventure. Bran repeats, adventure, and he hears Robb sob. Bran reaches out and they hold hands.
I'm crying.
Pretty sure that was an empty promise on Robb's part.
Yeah, he knows it's not. That's why he's crying.
Yeah. Isn't that sad?
That is so
He's trying so hard to be this lord, and he knows that he's making mistakes and stuff.
Oh, he's so overwhelmed. He must really miss his parents too.
Absolutely.
But he's trying to bury it so he can be strong for everyone else and be the lord that everyone expects him to be.
Like he has his responsibilities as the oldest son. Like, he knows it's going to take the place of his father.
Oh, I really feel for Robb here at the end.
Yeah.
Because we actually get to see what he's dealing with.
Yeah, we get little snippets.
Mm-hmm. I feel like he should have had a perspective.
That would have been interesting to have.
If he was a perspective character, yeah.
But he's not.
Yeah. He becomes one in the other books, right? Never?
It's all from Catelyn.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm like disappointed. Because Catelyn's still on my shit list.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Robb never becomes one!
No.
That's disappointing. All the kids are one except Robb.
And Rickon.
Well, I don't really count Rickon. I feel like that's the first time we ever really get to get like a little glimpse into Robb's psyche.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's fucking sad, and I literally am wiping away tears.
Yes. She literally teared up. I thought you were joking, but I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah, there's actual tears in my eyes. Also, can I just say,
yeah,
their meal sounded amazing.
Anything with pig, I'm like, well, hell yeah.
Suckling pig, pigeon pie.
Ooh, I love me some poultry.
Turnip soaked in butter, and honeycombs for dessert. Fucking yum!
Oh, have you ever had a honeycomb?
I've never eaten a straight up honeycomb.
No, I have. I'm really confused about the wax. I'm like, what do I do with that? Like, I chewed it and spat it out, but like, do I eat this? What do I do?
I don't know.
Like, it was good. It's fucking eating honey.
Yeah. Oh, I love honey.
Dude.
Did you ever go to the honey center? No? I went there once on a field trip in elementary school. Best day of my life.
Like, I see it all the time, and I'm like, is it possible to just pull in there and just go in there?
Yeah, they have a shop. But yeah, like, my class went on a whole tour through their, like, bee factory, and
God.
they have, like, rooms with a big glass window and you look through and it's like bees.
Yeah.
Just living their life, living their best life.
Food.
And then you go out into the shop, and I was a child, so they gave me a bunch of free honey sticks, like the flavored one.
Oh my god.
It doesn't make sense to me that some vegans don't eat honey.
I think
It's not a product of the animal.
quite understand that bees can live.
Supporting the honey industry supports bees because beekeepers protect bees and allow them to breed and blah 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 for the honey. So support the honey industry, bitches.
They make way more honey than they need. Way more.
Yeah, they don't need that much. It's their
This is a symbiotic relationship. They give us honey, and in return, we give them shelter and safety, and yeah.
Yeah, we protect them in return because we want their honey.
Yep. That's how
taking their honey is not harmful to them in any way.
No.
Yeah.
It's like the bacteria in our gut. They digest our food and eat, and we have nice poops.
We benefit from it. We have the nice poops. Yeah, support the honey industry.
Yep.
Anyway.
Absolutely. Honey's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the end of this episode. Next time, we will be discussing
Ed, John, and Ed.
Ed, John, and Ed.
I mean Ned.
It's a lot of
I'm
Ed.
saying Ed.
Yeah, no,
We're
it
both
is.
saying Ed.
It's a lot of Ned. A lot of Ned right now.
Yeah.
But you will find out why, and it is bananas.
Shocking.
Shocking.
I like bananas better.
You will be shooketh. Also, John meets his best friend.
A new friend.
A new friend. And we love him. So come back for that.
Of course.
Those will all be in the next episode. Alright, thank you so much for listening. If you want more of the podcast, please follow us on Instagram. The podcast is Tigbab Podcast, Tigbab. You can also follow us individually. Mine is Crimby and Jess's is Jess.Egan24. You can also find us on Facebook if you search Tigbab Podcast again, or just search Tea is Good, Books Are Better. You can find the page there. Please also check out our friend Baram Barami on YouTube. He made our jingle that you heard at the beginning of this episode, and he's super dope and deserves all the love in the world. So let's give him some. We also have a Patreon, so if you want to give us some extra support, you can check us out on there, patreon.com/teaisgoodbooksarebetter. We do have some cool tiers with different rewards, so you will get something in return for your contribution, but we do just appreciate you listening as well. Alright, thanks again for listening. Jess?
Hasta luego. See you next time. What
I
am
was
saying?
trying to think of something in another language that I could say.
Sayonara, bitches.
Join us next time. Okay, bye.